Welcome to St. Bernard's Live Prism account setup demonstration. My name is Travis Pinto and I'm a sales engineer for the Live Prism product. This setup demonstration is going to walk you through the initial configuration of the Live Prism services. I recommend that you watch this demonstration first. I'll be going over everything you need to get started regardless of what services you're interested in. We will be covering the following topics. I'll walk you through signing up for a trial of Live Prism, adding licenses, then adding groups and users, and then using the unknown user settings to automatically create users. With our in-the-cloud services, you will control and configure all services from a single source. This source is a web interface which is accessible from any place at any time. Our servers are geo-redundantly located around the United States and Europe. Because we are hosting the services, there is no need for you to spend valuable IT resources purchasing and installing expensive hardware or software. Let's get started by signing up for the trial. Signing up for the trial is easy, and you can access the trial sign-up page by going to the website. By putting in www.stbernard.com. You can also go to liveprism.com. Now navigate to the Live Prism image and select it. You will see the free trial link in the right-hand column. Click on the free trial link. You have two options. The first option is for all the filtering services, web, email, and IM. The second option is for all the filtering services plus hosted office. So if you need hosted office, choose this Live Prism Premier, and if you don't need hosted office, you would just choose the Live Prism link. I'm going to select the free trial for Live Prism. After you have chosen your trial, you need to fill out the trial form. Make sure this form is completely filled out. Also, the business email address is the address where the trial confirmation is sent. This means that after you submit the form, you need to check the email and accept the confirmation. Upon completion of the confirmation, you will get your login for your Live Prism setup. Now that you have completed the trial setup, it's time to log in and start configuring your services. Start by going to login.mxpath.net. Now simply enter the login credentials that were sent to you in the confirmation email. I'll be using my account. These credentials should look a little bit different from yours. And log in. After logging in, you are taken to the news page. This is where we will post any tips, changes, or scheduled maintenance. It's a good idea to check this from time to time. Here's a list of things that are going on. Populate here in the news page. To the right of the news, you see the support button. By selecting the support, you can easily open a trouble ticket with one of our support engineers. Along the top of the page, you will see all the main menus. You can select one of these main menus to display the submenu and configure each service individually. You will need to add more licenses to accommodate your users. By default, only one user and license is created after you have submitted the trial form. To add more licenses, go to My Account, License Manager. This is the License Manager main page. Your licenses will all show up as trial licenses. You can add as many as you need during your trial. Add your licenses under the Seats Used column. Add the appropriate number of licenses to the services you are going to be using. You can always come back and add licenses as needed. Once you have all of your licenses, it's time to add the users. Navigate to User Management and then click on the Users submenu. This is where you would add your users. I want to take some time to point out the drop-down menus near the top of the page. As you navigate throughout MXPath, you will continue to come across these menus. The organization will always show your organization, so there's nothing really tricky about this drop-down. The group type represents the services. Each one of these services comes with a default group called main. You can add additional groups for each service that you have licensed. Be aware of what group type and group you are in while making configuration changes. If you wanted to add more groups, you could select the Groups submenu and add additional groups for your available group types. We want to add users, so we're going to click on Add Users. Users are added here in this white box. Let's start by adding a user. Call him username1. The actual username for this user is username1 at liveprismdemo.com. So when they log into login.mxpath.net and type in their username, it'll be username1 at liveprismdemo.com. So the email address doubles as the username. You could add a list of users here, as many as you wanted right down the list, and we could have MXPath randomly generate them a password. If you leave this field blank and you don't specify a specific password, MXPath will randomly generate a password that can be later emailed to them with the rest of their login information. You can also give everyone the same password. Just make sure to let the user know that they have the same password as everyone else and to change their password upon initial login into mxpath.net. You can give a user a specific password by opening brackets followed by the user's password and then closing the brackets. Now these two users have individual specific passwords. You can also give the user an alias by adding a colon followed by the alias. You can add as many aliases as you need per user. Now, each one of these users is going to get a user type, and it's either going to be user or admin. User has a default role, which is the default user. Admin has the default role of default admin. You can create different roles and give different user types different amounts of access, and you would do that right up here under roles. I mentioned earlier that if you leave this password field here blank and don't specify passwords in the brackets, that LivePrism will automatically generate random passwords for the users. Well, now I want to show you how to send the email to the users that gives them their login information via an email. First, I would have to remove these passwords and aliases that I've already created. I would click on Add Users, which would save these users. As you can see here, the password field is blank, and then you would go back to the users submenu. First, you need to select the users that you wish to notify. Here's my list of users. If I wanted to send the welcome email notification to these users, I would simply put the check marks next to the users that I want to notify, and then scroll down to the bottom, and now you're going to see the email filter welcome message, send a check. This is going to send the welcome email to those users, giving them their login information that will consist of the login of login.mxpath.net plus their username and password and some additional info that will help them get started. You also have the option to migrate existing Active Directory users directly from your domain structure. You would do this by loading the LDAP utility. You would click on LDAP tool and click on this download tool. It's going to download a program that can be loaded onto the server or to a workstation. The migration utility is simple, easy to use, and you can put in a search DN, which would then query your server looking for any users with a mail attribute and put them in a file. Once the LDAP tool has created the file, you would simply browse to that file and then upload it, and it would populate your users. I want to take some time to talk about the unknown user settings. The unknown user settings gives you another way to automatically create user accounts. Navigate to Enterprise Email Filtering, and then Setup, then the unknown user settings. The default option is drop spam and viruses and deliver good messages to destination server. This is a good starting option as it gives you a little leeway if you forget to add any email addresses. The downside to this option is that the unknown user bounce back message will come from your server rather than MXPath. This consumes some bandwidth and server resources on your end. Also, this setting doesn't work with the quarantine, so if a message is tagged as spam, it will be deleted rather than being sent to the administrative or user-based spam quarantine. The top option, Reject Message to Unknown Users, will reject a message if the email account or alias is not in MXPath. This is the best option for keeping secure, clean mail going to your mail server. If the message is to an email address that doesn't exist, it will never touch your server. It's like having an email firewall on the cloud. The bottom option, Create Account on Receipt of Good Mail, means that if your mail server accepts a message for one of your email addresses, an account will automatically be created. This option can be used to automatically populate your user list. Use this as a short-term option. Eventually, you want to move the radio button back to or into Reject Message to Unknown Users. So after you feel confident that all of your users have been created, it's a good idea to put the radio button in Reject Messages to Unknown Users. This concludes the live Prism account setup demonstration. If you have any questions regarding any of the topics that I covered or didn't cover, check out our knowledge base. It's full of useful tips and configuration documentation that will help you fine-tune your settings. Again, my name is Travis Pinto. Thank you for watching the account setup demonstration.